everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The day after the big day of freedom in our country. So may the 4th be with you for the rest of your lives.
Oh,
And
Kathy.
hi, Kathy. Welcome, welcome.
Sorry.
We're so happy you're here. And David and all of you, Fidel, Fernando's here. Seema, yay, our star comedian, Cindy, Nika. Elizabeth, we're thrilled to have you. And Tony is driving across Iowa and back along with Cliff. We're giving him some special things to do. And I know you will have questions, so I'm really glad about that. So we've been working on this for about 2 or 3 weeks. It's an opportunity for investing. And I just wanted to run it by you all. And I like this. I have somebody that's also vetting with me so that we have two eyes on it, making sure that we're getting all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. And she does a really good job on background check and really looking into the tenants, because this is called a absolute triple net lease. And that means that they absolutely take care of everything. That's what's really great. So a triple net lease is a lease that the tenant takes care of the taxes, insurance, and the maintenance on the property. Absolutely, they have to pay for everything. And several different kinds of triple net leases, usually the owners still have to take care of the air conditioner or the roof. But in an absolute, basically, it's a great deal. So there's no CAMs in a absolute because of that. CAM is a common area maintenance fee, which is usually somewhere between, 10 to 25 cents a square foot. That when you are in a multi-unit, each tenant pays that, and that pays for the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance on the property. So the guys that mow and blow that come in, the water pays for all of that. Oh, and I didn't make it so like that. Hang on 1 second. I need to have some co-hosts here so that you can. Here we go. So we have this gal that we've been talking with for the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 weeks. And she has been in the business finding really interesting properties, and she does conversions. So a conversion is you buy a property and it's one thing and you're going to make it something different. So what they just bought, and they did close on this, and they are still raising funds, they closed on it as a senior living. So I had apartments, senior living apartments, and they're converting it to a drug rehabilitation. And the reason they're turning it into drug rehabilitation is they get a lot of money from the states. The parents pay for the upkeep and take care of the applicants who come in. And it's somewhere between 28 months and a year stay. If you're getting a lot of money, $3,000 a bed, a person, and there's 120 beds, that's a lot of money a year. This is in North Carolina. I'm going to share just the picture of what it looks like. So this is what can you see this? The question is, can you see this? And I can't see you to see if your heads are nodding. So are you able?
I'm not seeing it yet.
No.
No. All right. Let's see if you can see it now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is in North Carolina. It's outside of Wilmington, about 60 miles, and they are going to do some work to it. It's on 8 acres, and they are going to have to fence 8 acres of land, and that costs a lot of money. I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you spending all that money on fencing? They're like, the government says we have to do it because it is drugs. And they want to make sure that the drugs stay inside the fencing and not get outside the fencing. And really interestingly, the way they're taking care of this just on the campus itself is to keep the people who are just coming into drug rehab away from the people that have been in it for the 28 days or more, who are going through the whole rehab, and they want them to be separate. They don't want that crossover, which totally makes sense to me, to not have that crossover. So they're going to make it look really nice, which is really nice. They're going to, everything has already been painted. Let me go through. I wrote it down so I don't scatter all over the place, which I have a tendency to do.
You're awesome, Peggy.
So let me tell you, so it's a conversion from senior living to drug rehab. It's going to share the profit on the gross, not on the net. So that's important. It's a 506C, which means you must be an accredited investor to invest in this. It is an opportunity zone. It's a 10-year hold. It has a annual raise on the lease. It's a 30-year lease with an annual raise of 4.5%. There is a 3% override with the profit annually, which doesn't start till 2024, and that goes up to $2 million. After $2 million, you don't get any more of the profit, which seems only fair to me, but hey. So there's 120 beds. It had a wait list when they closed. So they closed last week. It closed last week. And the gal that is who is the tenant, took $1 million and put it in this property to fix it up. So when they closed, she could start taking people right away. So there's a good tenant in place. That's super, super important. That was really important to us when we were looking this property over, and who's running it and how good is she? Well, she's good. She's got the 6 licenses, which meet what the state wants. And it gives her the opportunity to expand and run the property the way it needs to be run, to make people well, to get them into a new life, get them out of that old drug life. It's a whole mind shift. I don't know what you know about that, but it's not easy getting off drugs. I'm sure you've met people that just keep going back to them. So they're raising the renovation money now, which is a little over $2 million, or there's about. I told you about, and 70% occupancy. Okay, so 2024, the 3%. Oh, and the numbers, which is also very conservative, are run on a 70% occupancy, not on 100% occupancy. It may run at 100%, but it isn't conservative to do that. So the gal that's the tenant was very careful about how she put the numbers together. And then we've got the tenant's expertise, and we checked her background. She has run these kind of places before. This isn't her first rodeo. She worked with another gal down in South Carolina. She's had a couple places of her own. She's run, I can't remember how many tenants, somewhere around 7, not tenants, sorry, employees. She's had a lot of employees, because you have to oversee these and you have to have the right employees in place. So she's put $1 million into the property, but she does get reimbursed on that. So part of what they are raising is to pay her back for what she put in. And they still have to rehab the exterior. They have to redo the pool. They have to put the fencing in, and there's several other things that need to be done. Here's the great part. So if you put your money in today, in 2 years, on the second year, they are going to do a refinance and pay all your money back. All your capital will come back to you in year 2, because it will take that long to stabilize. So once it's stabilized, the value of the property will go up quite a bit, and they'll be able to do a refi and pay everyone back their capital. And then you will be in it to begin with, it'll be basically a 10% cash flow. So it'll start off at about 7%. So in year 1, you'll get 7,200. If you put 100,000 in year 1, you'll get like 7,200. In year 2, which is when they do the refinance, they're also going to pull capital. You're going to get your capital back, your 100,000, plus you'll get another 79,000 for the cash flow and the out of the appraisal for the share that the owners have. So that's pretty nice. That's quite a bit of money to get back at $100,000 on year 2. And then year 3, you'll get your $10,000 a year. And then that will gradually go up to about 13,000 over the 10 years, but you have $0 in it. So that's like icing on the cake. And she also talked about, which I thought was really important, if this were to fail, because that's still always a question. What happens if this fails? Well, what happens if this fails is it was a senior living. It can be turned back into a senior living. It's got apartments, so you'll make more money at it. It could be just turned into an apartment complex, if you like, with the pool and all of that. And then the local college, actually, while she was in escrow, contacted her and to see if she would turn this into student housing, because there's a college that's just a couple miles away. The first payment, that's the important part. You put your $100,000 in. Your first payment comes in January of 2023. This is July of 2022, so that's only 5 months away. And I think that's about it. 1 year. Oh, the gal that's the tenant has 6 different licenses. And the way and I don't know what all the licenses are, but the way they run the tenants through is they have a 28-day for the patient to come in. Then they have a year for the apartments. They have to come in a 5-day intent and a 3-day intent. So they have to go through this whole process like that. And that's just kind of the overall view. And I don't know if you have any interest in it, and I'm happy to send the deck out to anybody who does. And I'm going to stop sharing because I like the questions and answers. I think that's always the fun part. I want to know what you're thinking about it and what questions you have and whether you think this is a good something for you or if you know people that you think it might be good for.
I have a question whenever we get to it.
We're there, Seema.
You said it's a triple net. Triple net will only help us if we are buying the building, because you have to own the building to take, for it to, like, it doesn't matter if it's triple net or not, unless we own the building. So that is one.
Yep,
right?
They own it. They own, yeah.
No, if we own it.
Yep, you own it. You own the whole 8 acres.
So you or whatever the you is, or all of us, we're going to buy the whole building?
The LLC is buying the whole property, the 8 acres.
Okay. Second thing, since it's in an OZ, it doesn't require only OZ funds? Capital gains?
No, the way they put that together is people that have a capital gain and they want that gain to go in, they have that set up as a separate LLC from the people that don't have capital gain. They just have to set it up a different way because you're treated differently. If you have a capital gain and you want that money to go in, what happens is that at the end of 10 years, you don't have to pay another capital gain. But for all of us who are not putting in capital gains, we would still have to pay our taxes unless you're in a Roth or in some other trust.
So how much do you need to, I say you again, I mean, whatever LLC you guys will set up, how much will you need to buy the entire thing?
They need $2 million right now. They've already closed on the property itself. So they're raising the capital for the rehab.
So who came up with the money to buy the property?
But they raised it. Ethan was part of that. He's the KP on it. He might be able to add something.
Second round?
This is the second round.
Okay.
They had to close. So what they did is the tenant put the money in, but she has the $2 million or whatever it is, whatever in her contract, she would be reimbursed that. Now that they've closed and they're raising funds, the who's ever running the LLC, they'll take care of the rehab from now, more than likely, and get the fencing and all of that put in and get the pool rehabbed and et cetera. But the owner, who was the current owner, he gave the tenant the permission to go in and start rehabbing the property, which that's in one sense, you could say that's extremely generous, but in the other sense, if they don't close, he's got a rehab building, right? And somebody's out $1 million or whatever it costs to do that. That's a lot of money that she put in to get that done. So I'm sure that she was pressing to make sure it closed, that they got all the money they needed for that.
So do we go in as equal partners to take advantage of the triple net? Because my understanding of triple net is, I'm learning it because I haven't done a triple net. So
Triple net, simply you're buying a piece of property and leasing it out to somebody else and then paying for everything.
But we'll say if you invest, Cliff invests, I invest, will our names go as if we own part of that property?
You'll be in as an LLC owner. You'll have a percentage ownership.
Okay.
So it's not an LP position, it's an equity position?
It's an equity position.
Okay, got it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, right. But otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. I mean, who cares if it's a triple net unless it's of some benefit for us? So, okay, I get it. Yeah, I get it with my limited understanding.
Yeah, so the benefit, there's a couple benefits. One of the benefits is that you're putting the money in and they're going to rehab the property, and the property will be rehabbed before the end of the year. Plus it will have 120 beds filled up, and they'll be running at full capacity with probably a waiting list, or unfortunately with a waiting list. And in year 2, they're going to do a refinance, because now the property's stabilized. They can refinance, they can get all the money back for everybody who put their money in. So if you put 100,000 in, you're going to get your 100,000 back. Plus they're going to pull, do a cash out refi. So everybody gets their money back, plus part of the current value of the property. So if you put your $100,000 in, you'll get approximately $179,000 at the time of the refinance, and then you'll have nothing in it, and that'll be what I like to call gravy. So now you're getting 10%, and when they give you an IRR, it's like that IRR doesn't count because you have nothing in it. It's zero, right? So see, they can say it's a 41% IRR, but that's based on what you originally put in. When you don't have any money in it, it's what's the word I want? I say exponential, but that's the wrong word. That has an incredible return, because you're getting $10,000 a year based on $0 in. So those are the things that I personally like about this property. I like that I got all my money back, because now I can go take that money and put it in something else. And then this gal that's doing this also has a pipeline of she just has one project after this one, but she's moving forward in her pipeline and she wants to stay in these arenas of senior living and drug rehab and that kind of, that's good. That's her specialty. And she's been around for 20 some years. So we did a background check on her. She actually gave us a background check, which was really nice. Most people don't do that, but she did. So any other questions?
Yeah, well, I mean, just looking at the numbers, I mean, it looks like that they're getting, just over a 39% return per year, when they go into this, after they do the cash out refi. That's a huge return. And is it profit participation or profit sharing? How is that paid up?
Profit participation, it's 3% of the gross.
Wow.
Plus there's a raise in the rent every year. So they're going to raise the rent annually, and you get profit share up to 2 million. Once it hits 2 million, you're not going to get more than that.
So it's 3% of the growth.
3% of the gross, not the net.
Oh, gross. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Of the gross. That's really important, of the gross.
Wow, that's huge.
That's huge. It's huge, 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 huge.
Hey, Peggy, this is David. I had a question.
Yes, David.
In reference to the value of the property, where is the investors going to buy it at retail? And also, is there other competition in the area doing the same type of asset class?
Yeah, they have that in there. And the closest one is in Wilmington, which is about 66 miles away. And then there's another one the other way, and it's like 40 miles away. So you don't have a lot of competition. I mean, and Californians, we drive everywhere, but people in the East pretty much don't. So they want it to be within 10 or 15 miles. And this depends on where you live. The other thing is you also want to have a reputation of being better than everybody else. And we aren't going to know how that reputation goes for a couple of years.
So what is the exit strategy for the investors, and the time frame of what they want to do at some point?
Well, because it's an opportunity zone, and if there's opportunity people in it, they have to hold it for 10 years. So the exit strategy is in 10 years to sell it, which is smart because it'll still have a 20-year absolute lease on it. So,
Okay.
right, somebody will come in and buy something with a 20-year lease. It's if I only got 10 or 15 years left on it, well, they might buy it at 15, but the 20 years, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. Yeah.
It has renewables after that.
Okay.
Okay.
So
It's driving distance for me. So if any of you want me to go and take real pictures there, I'm just dying to drive up and expense my hotel to myself.
Okay.
I mean, to myself, but I live a boring life, so it's really drivable. North Carolina, I can drive because when I go to,
Where are you now?
I'm in Sarasota, but when I go to Buffalo or when I go to DC, I always stop, I think around North or South Carolina is one of those places. So,
I would guess it'd be about a 10.5-hour drive for you.
Yeah, I've done 12 hours. I'm getting older, but let's see.
It's a drive from Florida. Yeah.
I'm just desperate to actually go somewhere. Does that project?
You want to check in while you're there?
Yeah, well, no, I don't need a drug rehab. I need more of that mental thing. But so when we own one of those, my name will be on a door permanently.
Okay, we'll have your own
Nice.
special door.
Nice.
Oh, that'll be terrific. Yep. So any other questions? Come on, questions.
yeah, I do have another question. You mentioned 70% occupancy. Tell me a little bit more about that and why.
That's what they're basing their numbers on.
Oh, okay.
They don't want to go 100% occupancy. They want to stay conservative in saying that this is what it's going to be. And there will always be turnover. It's not going to be like, I mean, that's just what it is. So there will always be turnover. There'll be people that are in and out. There'll be people that come back, unfortunately. And so even if they were to get to say, okay, it's going to be still, you wouldn't probably go over 90%. And there's two, somewhere between 2 and 4 people in a bedroom. So that's how they get the 120 beds. It's not like everybody has their own little apartment, but it's on 8 acres. The other side is expansion could be done on 8 acres if they need more.
Right. Yeah, I'm just curious on some sort of data for that particular city, that particular area for this type of asset class. And
yeah, I'll give you what we have.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's not too far from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Well, it's by Wilmington.
Well, it's below Raleigh and it's going to be west of Wilmington.
It has to be west of Wilmington. I don't, can
Wilmington's
you go
coastal.
east of Wilmington?
No, well, you can, but you're on the different islands.
Yeah.
Do you have actual name of that town or no?
It's called Clinton.
Clinton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Another Clinton in our files. Yeah. I'll be happy to send it to any of you or all of you, whatever you want. And I just wanted to run it by you because we're getting several different, all of a sudden we're getting things. And yet, interestingly, the market has slowed down.
Yeah.
we're not seeing what we were seeing up 3 or before the interest rates went up. It was like stuff coming at you all the time, and then it slowed down. But the things that we are seeing now, I think, are better than what we've seen in the past. So this is really, and we've been working with this gal for a while. She put it together and it was really quite confusing, and we just worked with her so that she could make it more simple. She has a lot of information. She's really cares. So she puts all these other things in, and because of that, it just got a little confusing. We just asked her to take some of that out, which she did. And she doesn't, the one thing she didn't give, and I will find out about that, is she didn't give a timeline for the raising of this capital. So if you are coming out of, and she cannot, because she already closed on the property, she cannot take a 1031, because I don't think she could do that and put you on title because she already closed. So if you know anybody that's doing a 1031, we'd have to figure out another way for that to happen. But they could take their capital gain and put it in. They just can't do a 1031. They have to structure it differently, like that.
Now, for the patients to stay here, it's going to be government subsidized, or is it paid for by the government full?
Some of it'll be government subsidized. Some of it'll be parents paying for their children. So it'll be a variety. None of it's set one way or the other.
That's really good. I mean, especially, if we go into a recession, that helps to ensure incomes coming in. So I think
That's right.
That's very good benefit.
I would agree. Fernando, do you have any questions?
Yeah. How can my company be the mental health provider to the clients in this deal?
I'll introduce you to the gal that we're working with, but she would have to introduce you to the tenant.
Wonderful.
It is all, they have a doctor and there's a lot of that goes on, but yeah, mental health is, I would say, 90% of getting off your drugs. First, you have to do that mindset shift. Because people think that they have to be dependent on the drugs. And when you've been dependent on drugs for so long, it takes a long time to do that shift. I know a lot of AA people, and they still think they can have a drink. And they've been in it for 20 or 30 years, and they're just looking forward to that one day, because every day they have to tell themselves, I'm not going to drink today. And it's the same with the drugs, right? I'm not going to do drugs today. It takes everything they have for them to say that to themselves. And that's a total mental. So yeah, I'll be happy to introduce you.
Thank
That's
you.
thrilling. Ethan, you have anything to say about this by any chance?
I'm sorry, I was on a call for the entire time. So I'm going to say it was a great deal. Everybody should. Am I right? Did I get that right?
Well, you're the key person on it.
Okay. You're talking about the Clinton, North Carolina Drug Rehab Center?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's a great deal. Everybody should invest. I'm not at all biased.
Ethan's kind of a bottom line guy. So if you have any questions, ask me. Because I've gone through this thoroughly a half a dozen times at least. And these are just all my notes just before I wanted to do the presentation. So I want to be as thorough as possible. And it's just a discussion. It's not like I like to run things by people because I want to get their feedback, because our drugs, unfortunately, that hasn't changed. Alcohol Anonymous hasn't changed. That's still a growing business, and so is drugs. And you hear all the time on different shows and different radio stations about the drugs and how they control people's lives. So like that. Okay, so we're going to finish early today, huh?
I do have one other question. What percentage of the investors' portfolio invest in the drug rehab versus the senior care living?
So what's the percentage of ownership of the LLC group as opposed to the GP? Is that what you're asking?
No. The experience with the investor itself, not us as the investor, but the investor itself,
Oh.
their experience with drug rehab versus the other, which is the senior living. I'm just curious on their experience with this.
The experience of the tenant, she has experience in this, she has done some senior living, but most of it has been drug rehab and halfway houses.
Okay.
And but because they didn't have all the licenses they needed, they couldn't grow to the extent that they can now grow. The property has to meet a certain standard, and then whatever your facility is has to meet a certain standard. So they haven't been able to do all the things they wanted to, even though she has grown it to over 100 beds before. This is the only one she has been in that was able to get all the licenses necessary to be able to run this as a full drug rehab for all the stages. So it'll be run more like a Betty Ford, I would presume. West Coast is Betty Ford, which is alcohol. Actually, it's not drugs. I don't know if they have drugs in the Betty Ford or not. It was originally, I don't either. It was originally created as a alcohol. So
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
Yeah. Marcy, you have any questions? No? Okay. Elizabeth, how about you? Nope, quiet there. And Tim, we haven't heard from you today.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yes.
What is the minimum investment? You always talk about 100,000. What?
Yeah, we like 100,000. The minimum is 50.
How much?
50,000.
50. Okay.
No, I'm not reading from a catalog.
Well, I've been listening.
Yeah.
Fidel, have you any questions?
You're muted, Fidel.
So no, we can't hear you yet. You're still muted.
He says, I'm having sound with my
Okay.
sound. I'm having issue with my sound, I think is what he wrote.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Fidel.
we'll check in
Issues.
later. We'll check in later. Okay,
Hi, Peggy. Can you hear me?
I can.
I just wanted to say I didn't have any questions, but I'm still here. I haven't died or anything. So
Oh, well, we're really happy you're here. That's the
And that he
important-
hasn't died.
yeah.
Hopefully nobody has.
Well, it is 102 here in Texas, so I'm trying to stay in the air conditioning and not go outside, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes I still have to go out.
Yes, and you're supposed to get your 15 to 20 minutes of sunshine, so better to go out early in the morning.
Well,
before-
here at 102, you get your 15 minutes in about 2.5. So
I'm sure about that.
Yeah,
We're gonna
Skip
have a-
Bake just used broil.
Oh my God.
Right. No, but it is serious about elderly dying in the heat there. Always the-
Water. Gotta drink your water.
yes, I have water right here in my hand as we speak.
Where are you, Tim? What part of Texas?
I'm in Dallas.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about all that heat. I know you all are too. So anything else from anyone? Is there any reason to keep going?
That's a really cool deal because, that sounds really nice.
I think so also.
Yeah.
I don't bring things to you that I don't like. And, if I like it, I'm going to invest in it. So you can pretty much count me in, and I don't know what I'll do yet. I have to go look to see what's in my Roth. I just invest out of my Roth because it doesn't pay taxes when it gets paid off. That's just me. And
Amazing. Hey, Peggy,
Yes.
is it then on the 30 year? Is that gravy? The 30 year and beyond?
Well, they'll pay you up to 2 million, right, Peggy? I think is what I heard you say.
they will pay the 3% on up to 2 million.
Yeah.
On the gross. So it will,
We'll stop.
well, it will keep growing because the lease goes up every year, but it goes up just a little bit, right? You don't
Yeah.
want your tenants going out of business because they're overpaying for something that they can't make meet a profit. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, once they do the refinance and you have nothing in it, you've got that money to go reinvest somewhere else, or with these people again, if you like it, or in something else. And then the rest is a nice little savings to have. You'll
And
have
the
to, if it's not capital gain, you have to pay taxes on it as you receive it, unless you have it in a Roth.
yeah. So the horizon is 24 months?
The horizon for the refinance,
Yeah, or for the gravy part. When does gravy start?
gravy starts in year 3.
Okay.
So year 1, you'll get your 7,200. This is based on 100,000.
Yeah.
7,200. Year 2, you'll get approximately your 100,000 back plus 79,000. That would include the cash flow. And then year 3, you start getting your gravy, your 10,000 a year.
So that's month 25th.
Well, it'll start at that.
Okay.
Don't hold them to those exact numbers.
All right. I won't.
All right. Generally, if real estate, we make a plan and the plan doesn't always go exactly, but they still follow the plan. And she seems really confident that this can happen. I mean, she has done her homework over and over and over. She has looked at this tenant over and over and over.
Mm.
And she is pretty sure she can meet that timeline. So that's the goal, to meet that timeline. So yeah, when will you get your money back? You'll get your money back in year 2.
Sweet.
Probably the
Awesome.
end of year 2, because it does have to stabilize. Remember, it's just opening now. She wants to do the refi in 2023. That's next year, but it might be closer to the end of the year because it still has to stabilize. And banks are going to look at they're going to want to see, a full, probably T12, wouldn't you say, Ethan? Maybe he's off in his other world still. But yeah, whatever the banks require, if they want to see a 12 T12 means a trailing 12 months. If they want to see a full 12 month and they've just closed and it's just starting to fill up and it doesn't stabilize to be full until the end of the year or early next year, it could take that full 12 months, that could take the full year next year for the bank to be happy with it. So those are just things to always
Yeah, 'cause you
consider.
get a rehab before they can even start allowing people in, right?
No, they have people coming in now. They already put,
There's 2 parts to it, right? Yeah.
yeah, they have 66 people on the waiting list and they're bringing them in, but you can't bring 66 people in all at one time. You just can't do that. It's not a rush party. So they bring them in a few at a time until they get everybody in, and then they'll continue the wait list until they have it completely filled.
Well, don't they have to rehab?
They rehab the interiors of all the units. That's done. But the raising of the funds, the contract says that she will be paid back. So she has to be paid back. So what they did is they raised the funds to close. Now they're raising the funds to do the rehab. Which, you can do that once you closed, you still can keep raising funds. A lot of the groups we work with continue racing after they close because they need their reserves in place, or they need the rehab or the capital.
So Peggy, is there another round they're going to be offering as well after this one's fulfilled? At what point are they looking to, finalize the investment?
At this point, there's not a discussion, but we did have a little short conversation. Could you expand? And she said, yes, you could expand, but are they going to expand? That might be something to leave to the next people because that would require another capital raise. It wouldn't actually require a capital raise. Probably,
Have you been to it?
you could probably go get a construction loan and have that, but then that's going to touch your cash flow. So,
Well, I'm sorry, I meant for this opportunity, it's $2 million pretty much. It's going to be the end of this raise.
yes,
For this. Okay, so there's no additional funds, no additional raises for this same investment.
that's my understanding. Yes.
Okay.
How
Yep.
come you always bring these great things after I've just put in 100,000 in one of your opportunities?
Because they're all great opportunities.
I know, I'm just,
You're still
I'm
getting
just-
double your money. So,
I know, no, I mean, I'm just saying, I just put a whole bunch in the 2 medical facilities, which I wanted to try out anyway, because
Right.
they're medical facilities, but still, this one is also great. Let's see.
it is. So go borrow some money from your husband.
Borrow money, borrow. I like the borrow. What the hell do you mean by borrow? He doesn't even know I sold some of the stocks. But I think I'll definitely make more money from selling those stocks and putting the stuff in whatever I have than staying in the stock market. So even I know that,
Yeah, the way things are going right now, got to be really careful.
Oh
with-
yeah, I mean, I don't even, I mean, I don't have access to his, to look up his 401k, but I'm sure it's shitty, so.
Okay, so I'm going to stop recording. So
Oh,
thank
yes,
you
sorry.
everyone for
Oops,
coming. I really
oops.
appreciate it.